One of the questions we get from parents with young children goes something like this: how do I make sure that my kids are protected if something happens to me? Hi, I'm estate planning and probate attorney Joel Beck with Peach State Wills and Trust in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And I'll talk about that question in today's short video. So the question for the day is, how do I protect my children's future if something happens to me or maybe me and my spouse? And so the thing that we think about is, if you have minor aged children, there's a couple of things that you need to do. And you do this through your own estate plan, through a will, and maybe some other tools. We want to make sure that you've designated somebody to be a guardian for your children. And in Georgia, what that means is, if the natural parents, if the adopted parents are not able to serve because they've passed away, somebody needs to be appointed a guardian for that child until they're 18 to be legally responsible for looking after them, raising them, caring them. And when it comes to who you would want to look after your child or children if something happened to you, that's obviously a very personal, a deep, important question, a very important decision that needs to be made. And it's much better being made by you, because you see, when you don't do any planning to look after your family if something happened to you, you leave it in the hands of the probate court to make that decision. And your children might wind up with somebody that's less than ideal. And there might be a fight among family members or friends, extended family, over who should look after the children and take care of them. So we always recommend, for every parent that has minor aged children, at a minimum, you need a will, a last will and testament. And one of the things that will is going to do is nominate a guardian, and probably a list of them. Meaning, if I'm dead, if I can't take care of my children, here's who I nominate to be a guardian. If that person can't serve, here's my second pick. If that person can't serve, perhaps here's my third pick. You want to let your wishes know. And of course, as you consider who should fulfill this important role if the need arises, you're going to think about that person's relationship with your children. You're going to think about their values, their parenting style, their discipline style, whether they're going to be a good fit, whether they have the ability, the capacity to serve in this role and look after your children. Now, separately, we usually recommend that you also appoint someone else through your will to be a trustee, to look after assets that you've left behind for your children, to be able to manage those, to use those for your child, to help them grow up, to get an education, to be fed, clothed, and sheltered, and the like, and then to help them learn how to manage that money later when they're at an age where it can be released to them. It is possible for one person to serve as both the guardian and the trustee, but we often recommend that where possible, we split those duties up and have one person be the guardian, somebody else be the trustee, because this brings about some increased accountability. It kind of builds in some checks and balances, and it lightens the load put on one person's shoulders. If you've got one person that has the responsibility of looking after your child physically, taking care of them, and then they also have to manage assets that you've left behind, that's a lot of work. If we split that work up, it lightens the load between the two, and it also promotes accountability. And now we make sure we have two people looking after what's in the best interest of your children, as opposed to just one. So when you think about the question, what do I do to ensure, my children's well-being and safety if something happens to me, we want to make sure that you've got an estate plan in place, a will at a minimum, that names an appropriate guardian and some backups, and an appropriate trustee and some backups. Now, if you want more information about estate planning and this process, I invite you to visit us online at peachstatewills.com. Click on free info at the top and select our guide to estate planning. Get that free guide that we can send to you via email right away. And that's going to go through the basics of estate planning. It's going to answer a lot of the frequently asked questions that people have. You can also find other great resources on our blog there at Peach State Wills, as well as on our YouTube channel as well. And if you're ready to get serious about getting a plan in place to look after your situation and make sure your children's futures are safeguarded, you can give us a call at 678-344-5342. We'll be happy to chat with you for a few minutes and see if we might be a good fit to help you with this critical legal need. Thanks.